for bringing on the newspaper review quite late. It was beyond, it was in regards to things beyond our own country. But here we are right now for our listeners to jumpstart and also be able to review the papers for this morning. As you know, we tend to look at the papers across national dailies. Punch newspaper, Vanguard, This Day newspaper, Daily Trust, Leadership newspaper, Nigerian Tribune, Guardian, and hopefully the Nation newspaper. My name is Sean Smith, and joining me this morning is our in-house analyst, Mr. Salmon Salami, who is also the Chief Operating Officer of Citizen 93.7 FM and as well as seasoned journalist. It's 9 minutes past 7 a.m. right here on your talk station. And as usual, we'll kickstart with the Punch newspaper, taking a look at the cover page and the cover story this morning. We see here that it says 35,000 Naira wage award. 30 states default. Labour fumes. Pensioners threaten protest. 35,000 Naira wage award. 30 states default. Labour fumes. Pensioners threaten protest. And next, in regards to Jakpa, it says doctors fault federal government ban on leave of absence. Doctors fault federal government ban on leave of absence. Next year, it says federal government plans fresh borrowing via Eurobond in June. Federal government plans fresh borrowing via Eurobond in June. Baker's throat slit in Lagos apartment. Heart allegedly missing. Man dies after 70 years in iron lung. Family mourns. And updated, Oyo demolishes houses in Ibadan. And more on the top news right here on the Punch newspaper for today. It says that federal government restores electricity to Niger, lifts sanctions, reopens border. Federal government restores electricity to Niger, lifts sanctions, reopens border. Nigerians lambast accountants general commissioners over UK workshop. Nigerians lambast accountants general commissioners over UK workshop. Mieti Allah members protest as federal government charges leader with terrorism. Mieti Allah members protest as federal government charges leader with terrorism. And now in regards to school abduction, federal government rules out ransom payment, considers U.S. offer. In regards to school abduction, federal government rules out ransom payment, considers U.S. offer. 17-year-old accused of 100,000 Naira theft kills self. 17-year-old accused of 100,000 Naira theft kills self. And lastly, we see here that the police say recovered Rivers DPO's remains for test. Recovered Rivers DPO's remains for test. And that you find on the Punch newspaper for today. And quickly taking a look at This Day newspaper, on the cover story, it says Tinubu, no more ransom payments to kidnappers. Reads Riot Act to security agencies. No more ransom payment to kidnappers. Reads Riot Act to security agencies. And this is followed by two riders. Government reviewing U.S. orders offer to help. Government reviewing U.S. orders offer to help. Wike assures of better protection in the Federal Capital Territory. Wike assures of better protection in FCT. President Bola Tinubu has again directed that on no condition should ransom be paid by government to kidnappers, bandits, or other criminal elements for the release of their victims, as he read the country's security agencies the Riot Act following incessant kidnap incidents. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris revealed the directive yesterday in Abuja while briefing newsmen at the end of the Federal Executive Council FEC meeting chaired by President Tinubu at the State House. And the federal government also said it was still reviewing offers from the United States and other countries to help in rescue missions, saying it would disclose its decision soon. And that's on this day newspaper. Next here it says, to stem food inflation, achieve price stability, the Central Bank of Nigeria gives 100 billion naira fertilizers to farmers. To stem food inflation, achieve price stability, CBN gives 100 billion naira fertilizers to farmers. Next one here says the federal government directs immediate opening of Nigeria's land air borders with Niger Republic. Same as we've seen on the Punch newspaper. Federal government direct immediate opening of Nigeria's land air borders with Niger Republic. And next here it says on this day newspaper that Naira gains in parallel market slightly weakens in official exchange rate. Naira gains in parallel market slightly weakens in official exchange. And still taking a look at this day newspaper, it says that Edron, we have devised strategies to plug leakages deduct automatically from revenue agencies. We have devised strategies to plug leakages deduct automatically from revenue agencies. And next, we see that courts to decide fate of Miyetti Allah's president, March 22nd. Courts to decide fate of Miyetti Allah's president, March 22nd. And lastly, it says here that in regards to KRE, we recorded 9,000 infractions on oil pipelines in 1 year. KRE, we recorded 9,000 infractions on oil pipelines in 1 year. And the stories you'd find on this day newspaper for today, 14th March 2024. And quickly on Daily Trust newspaper, it says budget padding allegation. Budget backs Ningi as opposition knocks Senate. Budget backs Ningi as opposition knocks a Senate. And here as well we see that Taraba auto crash killed 10 as 15 passengers kidnapped. Taraba auto crash killed 10 as 15 passengers kidnapped. And Kuriga says, we will ensure all 287 school children return safely. Kaduna government. Kuriga, we will ensure all 287 school children return safely, says the Kaduna government. And moving on to the next, it says here in regards to insecurity, Zamfara governor bans unlabeled bread and others. Zamfara governor bans unlabeled bread, others. Next, the communal violence claims 3 lives in Adamawa. Communal violence claims 3 lives in Adamawa. And we'll see more here on Daily Trust that says that lawmakers probe NCDMB over $35 million refinery, summon officials. Lawmakers probes Nigerian Contents Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB, over $35 million refinery, summon officials. And more here before we move on to the next. It says that NPC, that is a National Population Commission, says we have recommended new census date to Tinubu. That's President Tinubu. We have recommended new census date to President Tinubu. And this was said by the National Population Commission, NPC. The chairman of the NPC, Nasser Isa Kwara, has disclosed that a new date for the conduct of the census has been recommended to President Bola Tinubu, and it is awaiting his approval. Addressing State House reporters shortly after the swearing in of 17 federal commissioners of the commission yesterday, the NPC boss said the new commissioners would help in with preparations for the conduct of the census. To get up to speed with more of that story, you'd find it on Daily Trust newspaper. And now, with no time wasted, let's see what is happening on the Leadership newspaper this morning. And here on the cover story, it says student loan scheme concerns over disbursement modalities stall take off. Concerns over disbursement modalities stall take off. It says here, as Nigerians continue to look forward to the rollout of the student loan scheme, a cloud of uncertainty looms large as concerns regarding its disbursement modalities delay its much anticipated takeoff. On Tuesday, the Executive Secretary of Nigerian Education Loan Fund, Akintunde Sawyer, had announced that the takeoff of the loan scheme had again been postponed due to some corrections that were being made around the launch. Now, the indefinite suspension has since sparked widespread frustration among students and parents who want immediate takeoff of the program. The announcement suspending the loan scheme came barely a few hours to the launch that was scheduled for today, and that is Thursday. And now moving on, right here, just in, it says Tinubu directs states to implement wage award for workers. And more on Leadership newspaper for this morning, it says that Wuse Market shot after riot fire outbreak. Wuse Market shot after riot fire outbreak. It says the Federal Capital Territory Administration (FCTA) has shut down the popular Wuse Market following an unrest and burning of shops on Tuesday at the market. The situation there was tense as some angry persons who refused to leave the market were seen clutching bottles and sticks. However, members of the Nigerian Police Force and the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC) were also seen at the market trying to ensure peace and calmness. And it was earlier reported how angry youth reportedly set part of the popular market on fire after police allegedly shot a 17-year-old hawker dead inside the market. And according to the information gathered, the victim, who was being tried at the mobile court in the market, had attempted to run away but was allegedly shot and killed by a prison warden. You'll find the rest of that story on the Leadership newspaper, so get your hand on a copy of the paper and get up to speed with the rest of the stories. And now, next here says Nigerian Air Force wants to import Jet A1 fuel for operations. NAF wants to import Jet A1 fuel for operations. Next, Customs releases 15 trucks of seized grains. Custom releases 15 trucks of seized grains. Would also see here on Leadership newspaper that Hastings Edu's probe reps charge the federal government. Hastings Edu's probe reps charge federal government. Now, Governor Buni commits to sustainable peace and security. Governor Buni commits to sustainable peace and security, and that is the governor of Yobe State, Mai Mala Buni, has assured the support of his government to security operatives in the state to enhance the border patrol against trans-border crimes. And Buni gave the assurance on Wednesday when he received Assistant Controller General of Immigration Zone C, Sunday James, who paid him a courtesy visit at Government House, Damaturu. Lastly, we see here that TET Fund constitutes committees to upscale skills development. TET Fund constitutes committee to upscale skills development. Moving on quickly to Vanguard newspaper this morning. It says here on the cover page that more controversies over 3.7 trillion naira gap in 2024 budget. More controversies over 3.7 trillion naira gap in 2024 budget. Federal government, OPEC disagree on Nigeria's crude oil production. And next says that high cost of sanitary pads, girls use rags during menstruation, and that was said by Patricia. The next one says Ramadan Day 4, imbibing virtues of patience, discipline. Ramadan Day 4, imbibing virtues of patience and discipline. Indume tells IG withdraw orderlies of senators and reps. Indume tells IG withdraw orderlies of senators and reps. And now we see that Sanwo-Olu says we will explore gaming tourism for development. Sanwo-Olu, we will explore gaming tourism for development. And now in regards to the Edo Guba, it says that anxiety in APC as court sits out candidacy. Anxiety in APC as court sits out candidacy. Lastly here, it says that CBN resumes agric funding with 100 billion naira. CBN resumes agric funding with 100 billion naira. You'd find the story on Vanguard newspaper, but then with little or no time left, let's take a look at the Nation newspaper for this morning. And on the cover page of the Nation newspaper, you'd see that U.S. others offer to assist in combating kidnapping. U.S. orders offer to assist in combating kidnapping. The federal government is reviewing the offer of foreign assistance in the battle against kidnapping and other high-profile crimes. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, said this was said by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, that the U.S. and others have made an offer to assist in combating kidnapping. And next we say that FEC approves 759 billion naira for Obajana, Benin, Isheri, Ogun roads. Farmers to get CBN's 100 billion naira worth of fertilizer. Farmers to get CBN's 100 billion naira worth of fertilizers. And now I see here that 11 Muslims arrested in Kano for eating during Ramadan. 11 Muslims arrested in Kano for eating during Ramadan. Next, we see that federal government charges Miyetti Allah leader with unlawful creation of ethnic militia group. Federal government charges Miyetti Allah leader with unlawful creation of ethnic militia group. And now, in regards to Ningi's suspension, Senate rules must be obeyed, says Abaribe. Senate rules must be obeyed, says Abaribe. And here we see that distribution of 42,000 megatons of grains ongoing, says federal government. 42,000 MT of grains ongoing, says the federal government. And you find the stories on the Nation newspaper. It says here that alleged 4 billion naira fraud. How Obiano laundered Anambra security votes by EFCC. How Obiano laundered Anambra security votes by EFCC. These are the stories and more on the Nation and also across the national daily. So far, I've taken a look at the Punch newspaper, This Day newspaper, Leadership newspaper, Vanguard newspaper, Daily Trust, and also the Nation newspaper. And now, as it is almost the half hour mark, we need to go on a very short break. And when we're back, we'll kickstart the analysis with our in-house analyst. Just to implore that our listeners should please call in on 0903 2229797. Call in to join the conversation on 0903 2229797. 797 or 0818 2222205 0818 It is a Citizen 93.7. Let's go on a very quick break. When we're back, we'll continue with the newspaper review for today. Do stay tuned.
So that is the
And yes, many thanks for staying tuned. Welcome back to the newspaper review this morning. And it's time for me to bring on our in-house analyst to run through the analysis of the papers and the stories for us this morning. Once again, would like to implore and also let our listeners know that they can call in to join the conversation. The number to call is 0903 2229 797 0903 2229 797, or you can send us a WhatsApp message or also call on 0818 2222 205 0818 2222205. And now let's not waste any more time. Let's kickstart with this morning's analysis and the particular stories that we'll be looking at. And We're starting with the story on this day newspaper. It says that Tinubu no more ransom payments to kidnappers. Reads Riot Act to security agencies. Tinubu no more ransom payment to kidnappers. Reads Riot Act to security agencies. And without having to delve deep into that, what would you say about the story, Mr. Salami?
Good morning to our super citizen listeners and Ramadan Karim.
Ramadan Karim.
Yes, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has come out to read out the Riot Act to the security agencies and the service chiefs. He said that on no account should ransom be paid to kidnappers, and that no more ransom payment to kidnappers while reading out the Riot Act. This is the way to go. This is the best news that I've read in the last few weeks. When the man in Kaduna, the cleric in Kaduna, the controversial cleric in Kaduna, when he came out to plead with the government that the government should negotiate with the bandits and the criminals, I told myself that there is a need to mobilize the media against this. The media should set the agenda for robust national discourse, and that on no account should the federal government surrender to the kidnappers. Why should we pay ransom to criminals? It is a good thing that Mr. President has said it in no unclear terms that no, never again. We will not surrender our sovereignty. We will not negotiate, let alone pay ransom to criminals in whatever guise, whether kidnappers, whether terrorists, or whatever. A criminal is a criminal. Please don't negotiate with them. And we now plead with our service chiefs to please go all out and smoke them out. If need be, neutralize them. They don't deserve to die. They don't deserve to live. They just don't deserve to live. Criminals don't deserve to live. Do they wish us well? They have not allowed Nigerians to sleep with their eyes closed. And they should not sleep. Like the Yoruba proverb says that any child who says his mother will not sleep, he too, he has lost the right to sleep. They should not sleep. Smoke them out, please. Do everything humanly possible to ensure that we have peace in Nigeria and that decent Nigerians go to bed with their eyes closed. Mr. President, thank you very much for reading out the Riot Act to the security agencies that on no account will you pay ransom to terrorists, criminals, kidnappers, bandits, and miscreants of their ilk. Thank you once again, Mr. President. Nigerians are behind you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Salami, for that. Now, moving on to the next, on the Punch newspaper, we see that a 35,000 naira wage award, 30 states default, labor fumes, pensioners threaten protest. 30 states default, labor fumes, pensioners threaten protest. Apparently, the Nigerian Labour Congress, that is the NLC, on Wednesday expressed anger over the failure of about 90% of states, over 30 states, in paying the wage award as agreed by the federal government and the organized labor. The NLC said this as pensioners who retired from the federal civil service threatened to embark on a nationwide protest following the failure of the government to pay their wage award. And now over to you, Mr. Salami. What do you make of this particular story?
This is a pathetic one. Pathetic in the sense that pensioners, we are talking of those people who have spent the better life, the better part of their lives serving this country. Is it too much of a thing to pay their wages? And the Bible and the Quran say it, that the sweat of a laborer should not dry before you pay them. To even know that 30 states out of 36 states of the Federal Republic in Nigeria have defaulted is a serious matter, and it calls for a serious concern. This is not the way to go. The NLC, as a pressure group, as an organized pressure group, is in the vanguard of protecting the workers and is doing the right thing. In fact, I give kudos to Joe Ajaero, the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, for doing us proud, at least for putting government on its toes. The government should do the right thing. The government should do the right thing. The welfare and well-being of the citizens is what qualifies any government to be so called. And in this instance, the government should do the needful by ensuring that the emoluments, the gratuities, and the pensions of those who have spent the better part of their lives serving this country is paid. They should not be neglected. Once again, we thank the NLC for putting the government on its toes, and we plead with the government to do the needful. It is by doing this that citizens can support the government, and the government will then earn the respect of the people. Why? You don't demand patriotism, you earn patriotism. And you do this by doing what is right. Let the government do what is right.
All right, thank you very much. And now, talking about what is right, we see here that 17-year-old accused of 100,000 naira theft kills self. A 17-year-old boy, Ojibe Chukwueze, was reportedly found dead after being alleged of stealing 100,000 naira from his boss in the Abuja area of the Ekpe local government area of Lagos State on Monday. And Punch Metro gathered from a source privy to the incident on Wednesday that the body of the late Chukwueze was found by the roadside by his sister, who disclosed that her brother had come home on the set date from work, took some money, and went out. And now, Mr. Salami, this is a very tricky situation. A 17-year-old boy committed suicide. Now, what do you have to say about this?
This is tragic. This is heart-rending. This is sad. I'm grieved. For Chukwueze, a 17-year-old boy, to have committed suicide, I mean to have taken his life because of an allegation that he stole 100,000, is a matter for concern. Perhaps, just perhaps, he was wrongly accused. Perhaps, and just perhaps, the boy has self-respect, self-worth, and dignity. Perhaps. But I do not think that the boy took the right decision, because on no account should you commit or should one commit suicide. You didn't give yourself the life. You didn't put the life there by yourself. Life comes from God Almighty. God is the source. It's a great gift from God. And that the boy, the deceased, is 17-year-old. It's another matter altogether. How good can a 17-year-old process information? And don't forget that this has to do with emotion. It has to do, it's an issue of the heart and not the issue of the head. Perhaps if it's matured, he wouldn't have taken that route, because suicide by whatever means is unacceptable, is sinful, is a sacrilege. It should be discouraged. I call on the Inspector General of Police to please look into the circumstances, direct and remote ones, concerning the demise of this 17-year-old Chukwueze, and let us know. This will help us in preventing a similar incident. May so rest in peace.
Amen. May the soul of the departed rest in perfect peace. And now, thank you very much, Mr. Salami, for that. Moving on to the next story on this day newspaper. It says, system food inflation achieve price stability. Central Bank of Nigeria gives 100 billion naira fertilizers to farmers. And that's the governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Olayemi Kadoso, yesterday announced the allocation of 2.15 million bags of fertilizers worth over 100 billion naira to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security for disbursement to farmers to enhance agricultural production in the country. And now this is a very good, achievement, so to say, as they said, to achieve price stability and also to stem food inflation. But Mr. Salami, what do you have to say about this?
Well, I have a mixed feeling in the sense that here we go again. Should we repeat history, or history should repeat itself? It was during Emefiele's time that we had the Anchor Borrowers Fund. Billions of taxpayers' money went into it. Here we are today. And for CBN to resume agri funding with 100 billion money now in the worth of fertilizers to farmers. Yes, we have food insecurity. Yes, there is the need for us to go back to agric and go back to farm. Are we sure that this 100 for farmers to be provided with what is necessary in order for us to have food surplus or surplus of food? Because we need food. But let this 100 billion naira worth of fertilizers in this 2.15 million bags of fertilizers, let it get to the farmers, and the money, let us have effect. Let it be money well spent. The intention is good. It has always been. It is the implementation. It is during the implementation that monies develop wings overnight. We hope and pray that this will be a clear and refreshing departure from the past, because we cannot forget in a hurry what has become of the Anchor Borrowers program, whereby billions of naira went down the drain.
Okay, as you've duly stated that, hopefully it's not just business as usual and something way more different this time around. And now, quickly before we call it a day, we have three more stories to look at, and one of which is a story here that says withdraw orderlies of senators reps. Indume tells Inspector General of Police to withdraw orderlies attached to lawmakers in the National Assembly.
Also be carrying the bags of the wives of politicians, or to be behind politicians as bodyguards. No. The primary duty of the police is to protect lives and property. They are the agents, symbol of state. They should be seen to be doing their primary work and not to be hanging around or behind senators and members of House of Rep. No one life is superior to the other. If they feel that there is insecurity in the land and they will need police, the ordinary man needs police more than they do. Please withdraw the orderlies and the police guarding senators and members of House of Rep. Let them defend and protect the common man. Let them do that. Okay. This is the charge to the IG and Senator Ndume. Thank you very much for raising or bringing up this issue. This is the way to go.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Lamy. Talking about senators and the Senate, it says here that Ningi suspension, Senate rules must be obeyed, says Abaribe. The torrent of reactions have trailed the suspension of the senator.
Is it right for the senators to collectively mete out suspension on Abdul Ningi, realizing and knowing fully well that they are representatives of the people, just like Ningi too is a representative of the people? That is one. Two, if it is the rule of the Senate that whoever brings the Senate or attempts to bring the Senate into disrepute should be suspended, is the rule of the Senate superior to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Three, in exercising his right to freedom of information and speech, should he be punished? I leave all these pursuits to the lawyers. There is the need to test this at the court of law, and it will help in deepening our nascent democracy. You will recall that there was this senator from Niger State who was an IG, who was Assistant Inspector General of Police. May his soul rest in peace. He said that there were so many people he arrested when he was in service that were now senators and sitting down in this hallowed chamber. He was suspended. There was another incident. The person too was suspended. Why can't the federal government set up an independent investigative panel to look at what Ningi said and not?
We do call it a day. It's a very important and not really pressing but important story to look at. It is the season of Ramadan, and here's a story on The Nation that says 11 Muslims arrested in Kano for eating